All right, we will call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Environmental Commission, Township of Ocean, June 5th, 2025. Roll call. Member Brandon. Member Colton.
Here.
Member Gaudette.
Here.
Member Janetti.
Here.
Member Lutz.
Here.
Member Mammy. Alternate Baxi.
Here.
Alternate Ophelia.
Here.
Statement of compliance with public meetings law. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on June 28, 2024. This meeting will be recorded and available on Ocean Township's YouTube channel. All right, shall we review the May 1st, 2025 meeting minutes for approval? Ooh, double-sided.
Yes, I saved paper.
I love it. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
This is just the last meeting, right?
Yeah, the May 1st meeting.
It talks here about
I'll
Greenfish.
move.
It talks about Greenfish.
We discussed it.
Just cancel, it says cancel, okay. Oh, start Greenfish early, okay, got it. Sorry, I jumped over.
Did you say you would move? Did we have a second? Member Baxi second. Great. All right.
I have to vote now.
Really?
Thank you, Norm.
Really, no?
Roll call. What is it?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Any abstentions?
I wasn't here, so.
Steve?
I'm getting the hang of it.
Technically, you can't do that.
We have no presentations this evening, which if anyone has anyone that would like to present, bring it to the forefront and we're happy to get them on, because the last presentation we had was the wind
Turbines.
drive. Yes. So,
Yeah.
and that was some time ago. I want to say that was in the
I'll
fall.
give you an update.
Okay.
Update on the wind turbines.
Yeah, the EPA rescinded its approval.
So they won't be going out in Atlantic City.
They won't be being built, although they just reversed on New York. And the presenter was my neighbor.
Oh.
So he left his job. I mean, they were laying off people.
Wow.
So he now has another job in the same
Well, I
field.
wonder because of the disaster in Massachusetts last summer.
No, it
They
has
all
nothing to do with that.
malfunctioned.
And now, a lot of the ships with the supplies are probably heading to New York rather than New Jersey, probably heading to Maryland rather than New Jersey. So it looks like New York and Maryland are gonna have, wind turbines offshore and we're not.
All right, thank you for the update. Items for discussion, old business. Jack's not here tonight regarding the EC website, but as you all know, we did the recycling contest. And I think that the winning entries, including the Girl Scouts, should be on our EC website page.
Oh,
Just
Sure.
give something fun to attract them there, and then,
Yeah.
Were they notified who the winners were?
yes,
Oh, they were. Okay.
yeah. But anyone else have anything? I know we've all talked about things we'd like to see on there. And I do think a meeting with Tracy, like tonight, we will put, this is happening. So, next meeting, there's an update on actual stuff going up there. Because, we kind of bypass it every month and say no update. But
Well, the reason that it got on there in the first place was when they were redoing the town website, which was a long process, it got added on as an agenda item. And we've just kind of kept it on there
okay.
month to month ever since, even though we do have a new town website now, but it's good reminder to do it. It does
Yeah.
not have to be a standing agenda item, no.
No, okay, good to know.
It's up to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Good to know, but I would like, when you go to the Ocean Township website, and people are like, oh, the environmental commission, what's that? And it's just a fun thing that they see versus.
Well, but the EC website is specific things that we may or may not be wanting to do to improve our thing, other than the fact that people go there and look for our old minutes and agendas and stuff like that. I mean,
No, I think there's a minutes and agendas page, and then I think there is every, committee where you
Yeah,
click it, it
every
just gives
committee
a
has list of the
paragraph.
members. So environmental commission has one, planning board, zoning board, everyone has their own page where they just have the list of the members and their terms and some other basic information.
So,
And we've got information up there about the dump as well, in Tin Falls, that we've added.
The DEP number.
okay,
Yeah.
and how did you do that? Through talking to Tracy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just email Tracy, be like, we want this. And Tracy says, awesome, and it happens.
Right, because it was all parental consent that they can go up there.
Yeah.
Until maybe next year's contest, and then we'll switch out the winners. A new incentive,
So are the winner videos on there?
They are not on there yet.
Okay, they will be.
They will be.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know, is it gonna be a link to like YouTube? How are they?
Yeah, so they're submitted on YouTube, and we're gonna get them up on the Township YouTube and on the Town TV channel. I don't know how long they're gonna be on the Town TV channel, but they're gonna rotate through.
Because then I can put them on Facebook and Instagram too,
Yeah,
so. So
absolutely.
who would I be able to get it from?
So we're in the process of getting them up there. I actually emailed Megan Edson earlier today about that. So they should be up there. They'll definitely be up there by the 12th next week
Okay.
for the council meeting.
I mean, if
So,
it's a link, I could just click on it and copy paste it and then just
yeah,
do it that way.
but it's right now, it's hosted, it's a YouTube link, but their teachers posted them. And we're gonna take those videos and then we're gonna have them on the town, so the town is hosting.
Ainsley, you didn't see anything?
No, on the EC website, no.
Like when you select EC, what comes up?
It's like what,
It's like
Evan
listed all of
described,
us.
it's like our meeting, what the mission is, I guess. 20, it says Green Ocean Township Campaign, Energy Reduction Plans for Homeowners and Business Property Owners, 2019 Environmental Resource Inventory, Urban Tree Canopy Assessment, Ocean Environmental Commission discusses importance of report, and then the DEP number, then it talks about our talent bank application form to join the EC, then our members, their terms, and then our meetings, and how to get to our meetings. But that's it. There's nothing about contest or.
Well, yeah, so that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna,
Yeah.
you would keep scrolling and it would be
Yeah.
highlighting that.
Yeah.
Okay. Stormwater ordinance, saved by the bell. You can update us on the stormwater ordinance.
I can. That's a good question.
We'll make note that member Mammy has arrived. Mimi. Long A.
Yeah.
Stormwater ordinance, Ed and Jack.
There's no update that I'm aware of, but Jeff, as long as we're talking about stormwater, you wanna give an update on the stormwater project off of, Carberry?
All I know is that the ordinance was done, it was approved by the board, and they should be going out to bid and getting bids for that.
Awesome.
It was all taken care of. He helped me a little bit by, we talked to some people to move some of the paperwork along, and it worked out well. I just hope that, I think probably the jury's out on how it gets done. This is from the people at Carberry, right? But it should be moving along, and it should be going out soon. Yeah, thanks.
Everyone's familiar with that. Yeah, okay, cool. Is Mary on this evening?
Nobody's on.
No.
So, but, speaking about stormwater and the Brookside project, you brought up a point to me about the township having to take responsibility for dredging the The pond?
Yeah, so we're talking about Snell Pond, right? And the last update that I remember hearing was that the town did not receive permission from all of the homeowners to dredge, so that they were not going to dredge it. However, my understanding, and this goes back, and I think Andrew Brandon and I were discussing this, the issue is the town is depositing some of its stormwater in the pond. So whether or not they get permission from the homeowners, they're still obligated under the MS4 permit to reduce the flooding in that pond, since it's catching stormwater that's coming from the town's stormwater system. That gets into a really tricky space, but if one of the homeowners were to get flood damage, or their homeowner's insurance, or their flood insurance, I don't know if any of them have it, I would assume at least one of them does, that could make it really complicated for the town, because the town would have some liability there.
Yeah, I remember us talking a little bit about this at one of our council meetings.
Yeah.
About that we needed the homeowners all to agree.
Correct.
Right.
Because they own the pond,
Yeah.
the town doesn't own the pond,
Correct.
which is, and I understand that, that's great, but they still have an obligation because they're using it for their stormwater.
Yeah.
So the town may be liable anyway.
The homeowners didn't reply, or they said no?
One of them apparently said no,
Okay.
for reasons.
I'm just curious if it was just lack of communication, or if
No,
they
no,
were like,
I think
they were
someone said no.
actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
someone said
Someone said
no.
no, right.
But
Right.
then again, people say no to things because they might not understand it,
Oh,
that,
right.
you know.
Or they, anytime somebody hears work being done, they think, oh, my taxes will go up.
Mhm.
That could be another reason.
Yeah.
Why does the town have liability if they have no choice?
What do you mean?
If the homeowners want to say yes, but you're doing it in.
So there's two separate tracks here, right? There's the personal property track, right? They own the land, they own the pond, it's part of their property, they are obligated to maintain their property, okay? If they fail to maintain their property, if they fail to maintain their pond and it causes flooding, right, then they're liable. However, you have this whole other track, which is the MS4 permit, which again, for anyone who hasn't heard me talk about this, it stands for the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, right? Because the town is using the pond to catch water from their storm sewer system, under the MS4 permit, it becomes part of the infrastructure of that whole system, and they are liable to maintain that system. Should the town be dumping their water into someone's private pond? Probably not, but they are, because it's probably done before they thought anything of it. But now that that water is going into the pond from the town has obligation to make sure the pond is working through the MS4 permit, regardless of what the personal property track of it is.
Does the MS4 permit supersede the homeowner's rights?
It got real tricky there. Yes. Yes.
Like, could the town just say we're doing it?
Yeah, I think they would have to do it under some form of eminent domain for public good. Yeah.
So are they gonna judge it?
I don't think so. I thought they said that was off the table, right?
Yeah, I don't think that was.
Yeah.
But why?
So then how are they?
Because the
Don't they
homeowners,
Because the
But
homeowner
don't they
said
need
no.
to maintain the infrastructure of their stormwater management plan?
someone would, with all things MS4, someone has to force them to do it.
Okay.
There's, and listen, this is not an Ocean Township thing. This isn't a Monmouth County thing. This is an everywhere, in every town, in every city and state in the country thing, that the MS4 permit has a whole lot of rules that need to be followed. And until someone's going to sue you to follow them,
Oh, I see. It goes
it's
like that
it's
route.
like ADA. How often do you go into a building that's not ADA compliant or a sidewalk that's not ADA compliant? By law, it has to be, but it's not. So until someone goes out there and says, you need to fix this sidewalk crossing, it doesn't happen. Same concept.
Who's the
So they
enforcement
decide
authority?
whether somebody takes a flyer, from there.
Enforcement for that is both DEP Because New Jersey has a strange structure. New Jersey's laws were stricter than the rest of the country's laws when the feds put it in. So New Jersey has jurisdiction over it. So it'd be DEP, but barring that, then it goes up to EPA.
All right, that was a great update.
Sorry, I opened the can.
Well, that's why New Jersey's lucky that DEP has enforcement first. Our laws are stricter.
All right, community energy plan.
Nothing.
Nothing.
We're still in a holding pattern till we get the money released.
Can we keep that on the agenda?
Yes, we should. That one's an important one.
Star.
Yeah.
Okay, recycling contest. I applaud Ed for bringing it to fruition because the feedback we got was fantastic. I have this letter from the ESL teacher at, I believe it's Wayside School. I guess I could just pass it around for you all to read.
Read dramatic reading, Julia.
Yes.
With voices.
Okay, so this was for obviously 12th through 4th grade. This is from the teacher at Wayside School. My name is Susan Cole, and I'm Chloe's ESL teacher. Chloe Augustin was the selected winner for 12 through 4. I thought you might like some background on the work leading up to submitting the final products to you. My 4th grade ESL program focuses on the environment and sustainability. My students and I were so excited to learn about the recycling contest, and I was eager to discover how the students would approach the challenge. I don't know when I've ever seen them more motivated. Ryan Pringle came in, which is a teacher at the Wayside School. Mr. Pringle came in and gave them a lesson on Canva. Then I mostly just watched and listened while they researched and wrote and created the Canvas slides. They critiqued each other, offering advice on the information, the slides, and the presentations. As the parents of these students are not proficient in English, it was necessary to have all the editing done in the classroom. Ryan videotaped them patiently, redoing the tape more than once in some cases. And if the student thought they could do better, they did. He then submitted the videos to you. A team effort brought it all to fruition, and we are thrilled to have one of our students chosen as a winner. Certainly, all of the participants have proven themselves winners. Chloe's family, and then they just say Chloe will be informed because we're inviting the winners to the June 12th meeting. So that made me so happy. So I think the recycling contest should definitely be an annual thing. The script's already there. Thank you, Jeff and Ed, for obviously being the judges. Again, the script's already there, so I think that's great if it's just reoccurring. And like I said, we'll get the winners on the website. It'll almost be an incentive. So
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
it was fun. It was very tough to judge them because they were all so good.
Yeah.
Except, Ed, you were definitely more technical. You're like, oh well, that's not right. So they're disqualified. But I'm like,
They didn't follow the instructions from the town's recycle. So a few of them got
which was one of our
disqualified.
rules.
Yeah, and one of them, in my opinion, the best one also didn't follow the rules and was disqualified, which was very unfortunate, but it's the way.
It's the way the world is.
Yeah.
But that's why I mentioned them, because their video was so funny. That
Yeah.
I feel like it should be on the website. But I guess, we have to keep it just to the winners.
Yeah, we'll
Camp
figure out.
in.
We'll figure out something to do with that other one.
Yeah.
That was just too good to.
You know where the girls were.
The Girl
The,
Scouts.
the 2-minute one.
Yeah.
They missed the 30 to 60 seconds and they went a full 2 minutes.
Oh,
So-
I was kind of curious what happened.
Yeah.
I didn't,
They got
I
it.
didn't really time me on
They
it.
didn't read the rules.
Yeah.
So
It was cute, though.
it was very cute. It was excellent.
And that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And
That was all Andrew Brannon. Credit where credit is due. That was his
Okay.
suggestion. He was the one who thought that would be a good thing to do.
Okay. I wish he was here this evening, just because from this teacher's letter, the fact that her focus in the studies is environment and sustainability, her email, thanking her for that email was, if you guys have more stuff for us to do, send it over. So that's great that they're, engaged and paying attention to the environment.
Unrelated, not to totally sidetrack us, but did you, Norm, discuss at Shade Tree the fact that the survey project had got another award, multiple awards? Angelique, you
Yeah, so amazingly, Miss Edson, so she took three of her students to Philadelphia Zoo. There was a contest there where they were finalists, and they were the only project that really talked about trees and flooding. There was a lot of interest about it because the contestants there were all, it was mostly about conserving some sort of animal or animal habitat. So there was so many projects about bees and bats, and it was really amazing. And ours was about trees, and people were very interested in just like the maps that they made, the big, tactile things. But then they also won as finalists, and I guess Panasonic has some sort of environmental contest, so they were finalists there. They got some swag, they got some cash prizes, and then they're going to the governor's mansion on this Thursday. They're going for the New Jersey Climate Challenge, which is amazing.
Wow.
And they're finalists there, so we don't know whether they won or not, but they're going to present there.
Oh, that's so cool. So do you guys get to chaperone them?
Yeah.
which is why I'll be calling in to the
Yeah.
June 12th special planning board meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were not missing that.
No.
That's amazing.
So it's at 4:30 next week. So Pat Sullivan, who's like the teacher liaison for the Shade, who's working on the Shade Tree committee for the project, will be there. Miss Edson's going to be there. Us parents, a couple of us parents are going to be there, and so we'll see what happens. But it's a great honor, and I think it really it really speaks a lot that we had school and town collaboration. I think that was a really key piece of the project being so successful and kind of being elevated instead of just being like a school project. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so it's good. It's good. It's exciting. It's exciting. So I know Miss Edson's coming in for the recycling.
Yeah, she's probably going to be speeding.
On
And
the
she
12th.
did mention she would be in Princeton. I didn't know why.
That's why. So I'm driving her back. 'Cause,
Oh, nice.
We're saving gas.
Amazing. Carpool.
And
Maybe I'll be jumping in with you guys too. Very cool.
It also reinforces the value of getting the schools involved, getting the community involved.
Yeah.
And not just our sitting around the table doing
Yeah.
things.
And the kids are eager to do stuff.
And I think that having watched a lot of projects over a lot of years and done much as a kid, this isn't just like, oh, this is a nice, but this is a legitimate need for the town that the kids are helping have met. Like, this is real work that's getting done. And I'm really excited for them to have played a role.
Yeah.
They can see all the trees that get planted. And they're all
Yeah. Get to enjoy them. All right. Anyone, anything to add to any of all that old business before we move on to the new business?
Well, we all realize that education of everybody, and reminder of all of us, what the rules are. The boat club I belong to just recently, and what did I just do with the pictures? On all of their recycling containers around the club, there's a sign. What to put in there and what not to put in there. And it basically ends up with, when in doubt, throw it out. And there's a couple other places. Something like that, and they're only about this big.
Yeah.
They could be put on almost every container in town. In the parks, all the public spaces, and John Q. Public hopefully would see this and might remember which numbers can be recycled, or, hey, it's cardboard, it's a pizza box, it's recyclable, right? No, it's
I'm
not.
like, yeah.
Part of it is. Part of it is.
And things like that. Pizza boxes are not, absolutely not, you can't get the oil out.
I thought the latest now they changed it where the pizza box is.
We'll be updating the stickers
But
annually.
the whole thing can be updated, I mean, that's not.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, but that is great.
Maybe you're not getting the right
Do you go to
pizza
Shark
one.
River yet?
Yeah, well, that's
true. That's probably true. The top can be recycled. Usually.
Oh, yeah, if you wanna cut the top off and.
That's what I do.
So that would have been like a great video. I feel like we discussed that in the recycling contest, like how they would handle something like that. Like rip it, one goes in recycling, one goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we'll make our own as an
We'll-
example.
We'll open an adult category.
Yeah,
We need pizza here.
right?
See, some of us can carry a pizza.
It will do
without
for the
flipping it
production.
over So that everything gets oil.
I see you're doing that.
All right, new business. Norm, over to you.
Okay.
Pending plans.
Well, the only plans that the minutes said that I got the plans from the synagogue.
Yeah.
Street, and I finally looked at them, and they had a bunch of stuff, although I made a few comments, and I sent to everyone, they got it already, I sent it out today, the comments I made, but basically, let's just gotta read my thing, because the copy I made to take is still on the printer. So basically said what they're gonna do, they're taking out 4 trees, but they're putting in, more than enough to compensate for that, and the rules are. And, but a couple of things they had were kind of weird. First thing is, though, that I found was interesting, and Bill Brooks actually made it something that made me do the research on this. They're gonna put sugar maples along the street. And I couldn't find my right ruler, but I think they're I thought they were too close to the sidewalk, but the power lines though are almost right next to the curb on that street, I don't know where they go. So maybe they'd be okay, but it turns out there's a major problem with sugar maples because of climate change. And one of the things I saw talked about even New Jersey, and so in my plans I even talked, here's a report that came out of Vermont talking about the complex relationship between climate and sugar maple health. Climate change implications in Vermont for key northern hardwood species. One of the AI things that come up on Google,
Yeah.
sort of quickly said that it looks like its main habitat's heading towards Canada. That there would be a good habitat for sugar maples. And some of the things, maybe we should change that,
Take it off your recommended tree list.
Well, hang on, wait. So
Because that's where they got it from.
my question is, the main habitat for sugar maples that can be used for sugaring, or sugar maples in general? Because the issue is, the maples need a certain amount of freezing to warming in order for the sap to run to be used for sugaring. But
Right.
I know that sugar maples grow further south than here. They just can't be used for sugaring. The sap doesn't run fast enough. Stockton University has actually been trying to develop a breed of sugar maple that will run sap that can be used for sugaring, lacking that freeze to warm daily cycle that you get in the northern climate.
Here's the front page of that report that I quoted. It says, so it talks about here, it says, in particular, there's been much interest in understanding the drivers of sugar maple decline, which is characterized by reductions in canopy condition and growth, increases in tree mortality, and shifts in species composition. Sugar maple, blah, 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 blah. So it seems to, I didn't go through the whole report, to be honest, I didn't read the whole report, but it starts to address things other than just sugar, maple syrup production.
When we say, you have to put in a tree replacement plan, the first thing they were doing is going onto the township website and looking at your recommended tree list. So they get, this letter saying, maybe don't put that tree, then I think it's best that
We need to go through that list also, okay?
Yeah.
So the second,
because that's what they're gonna say, well, we got that off of your list.
right, so the second thing I did was quoted Rutgers. This is the thing that Rutgers used to have that was very convenient to use on deer resistance tree species, Now they've got a nice, beautiful color thing on the web, that slowly sucks. Because this one is organized by, these are annuals, these are perennials, these are shrubs, these are trees. The other one's just alphabetical, you gotta look up almost everything. Because they categorize them by rarely damaged, seldom severely damaged, occasionally severely damaged, and, oops, that one didn't have that category, and frequently severely damaged. Okay? So 2 of the things that they're planting a bunch of are arborvitae and yews, which are both frequently severely damaged category plants.
And they're not shade trees.
No, these are shrubs, right? They're not shade trees. The only shade trees they're putting in were whatever it is. I got the plans here. So I brought them just in case. But the point I'm making, so I made a couple of comments and things like that, and then the other ones, it's just they should be careful about deer browsing and other stuff. Overall, it's not a terrible thing, but use are like the, bon appetit signs for the deer, whatever language deer can read.
Deer salad, yeah.
Great, thank you.
So anyway, so that,
So where does that get discussed? To the applicant, where would, do they?
They receive review letters from the police department, the fire department, environmental commission, the engineer, the planner, and they take it all into consideration because they'll be going in front of the board and they'll have to testify to each letter that they receive.
I see.
right,
And
these things.
they might say
Right, I send these things to community development, and they do whatever they do, and sometimes they get read at public meetings.
Yeah.
And so much.
They might say, oh, we got Norm's letter and we are now proposing this instead, just to satisfy the board because they rely on all the letters that come in from each. And that will just go right into the planning board update.
Yeah. So the big update from the planning board was we started hearing, and it's not complete, so I'm just giving a very high level update because it's still pending. We received the report from the planner on the area in need of redevelopment on Highway 35, which is Orchard Plaza. And we received a report outlining why the planning board's planner believes that it meets the criteria for an area in need of redevelopment. We did not vote. We expect to have a report from the owner's attorney explaining why they believe does not meet that criteria, and we'll be hearing that at our next regularly scheduled meeting at the end of the month. In the meantime, though, next Thursday the caucus starts at 5:30, and then the meeting at 6, we will be having our affordable housing plan discussion, which will be immediately followed by a council meeting where they will be voting on the affordable housing plan as well. So all things affordable housing in a special meeting next Thursday. All, 600 pages of it, whatever it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been reading through all of it.
Is it posted?
I don't know. Is it posted? I don't know.
I'd be curious to see where the proposed, is it,
I don't
proposed
think
sites?
so.
Or
It
is
might be
just-
posted after. I feel like we always see things.
I have a feeling that it should be available for inspection in town hall, but you cannot quote me on that. Don't put that in the minutes. I think.
So does the plan identify specific locations of where they want to do housing, or just
Yes.
how many they want?
No. So these plans identify all the areas in town that are suitable for affordable housing. They identify all existing affordable housing. They just identify all existing housing stock, which I did not know that there is a non-zero number of trailers that are in town. It was RVs that are listed as primary residences, which I was unaware of. I do not know. But it identifies.
I know that it's illegal under current zoning, but it might be grandfathered.
Again, don't know. I just know that on the housing stock list, they're there. But it's really fascinating because it shows the change in median rents over the last decade, the median housing price, all of the metrics on how housing in Ocean Township has changed, and it's a lot. But it also identifies overlay zones. Not a lot is changing from the previous plan. Some of it is just setting the framework to allow affordable housing to be built should economic conditions present themselves that it can happen. And some of it is the town being required to get some units in. And we built one, or it's in the process of being built off of Roosevelt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was some town land that they sold off, and they were building like a little L-shaped mixed market affordable housing development Some other affordable housing units have gone in. But, you know, by and large, compared to what some of the other towns are going through, Ocean is doing okay. But I believe the full plan is available for inspection prior to the meeting. So,
So all 600 pages we have to read while we're standing there.
That's
Probably.
That's the property that's contiguous to where they abandoned the seniors housing?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's like just going
Yes.
north of that, I guess.
Yes, to the north of that, because I remember the stream corridor is to the south of the backyard of the townhomes. Yeah.
Hopefully there's some minimum tree requirements wherever these affordable housing.
Well, they still have
go.
to meet all the other town development
Sure.
standards, unless it gets tagged in an area need of redevelopment and the council chooses to do something different, but that, I don't see that happening. I don't think that was proposed in this plan. I haven't finished it, so.
Not to belabor, but was there anything in there about changing zoning to allow for accessory housing? Because that's like one way to, like I've listened to a lot of podcasts about affordable housing. One way to deal with it is to permit accessory
ADUs.
structures or something
Yeah.
on bigger properties or something.
I do not believe that was in it. If it is, I haven't gotten there. But you may remember at the State of the State address, Governor Murphy proposed that being a universal, and there was some legislation. I think it got snagged because there's a couple towns that are very anti the idea of the ADUs, which, whatever. But yeah, if it's going to get done, it's something the town could potentially do, but it's probably better if it gets done at the state level.
Yeah, I know Asbury has something that's popping up all over Asbury, the proposed plans to put in ADUs, so. And Bradley always had them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have some large houses in town, mother-daughters that you could just turn into an ADU. We have the space. That's not the issue.
We also have multi-generational families.
Yeah.
Speaking of the housing, the 10-year difference.
Yeah.
It's tough to live here now if you're a millennial or younger.
Right. And that's my whole thing is, it becomes an economic issue. One of the issues that always gets brought up is traffic and fair. But, I mean, how many of us, and I can only speak for myself, I go to work a lot, right? And I go to the other businesses in town that have folks who are working who may not make the salary to own a home or even rent in Ocean Township at this point. And if we want to continue to use those services without having to drive somewhere, they're going to have to get to work. So we can either create housing in town and create ways for them to get there that are not car-centric, or we can accept that we're going to have traffic from people coming in from out of town and make longer commutes. And on the net, going back to the environmental issues, longer commute, if you're driving a car, the more, hydrocarbons you're putting into the atmosphere. It's just the idea that these things are just, if they can't afford to live here, they can't afford to live here. That doesn't really work in the long term, because we have services that we all want to get to, and we need people to be able to work at those services. So, 600 pages probably isn't enough to really get to the nuance of it all, but yeah.
Thank you.
Great update. Zoning board update. Is anyone on the zoning board?
Mhm.
No. The zoning board, I feel like, always has a packed agenda. Can't say anything about it.
Is there any way that we can get, what's a good way to possibly get a flavor of what's happening in the zoning board?
I guess we could just look at the agendas.
Yeah, I mean, we get them.
Yeah.
You don't get the, only the billboards put much activity at the zoning board.
Well, Norm, you can always go home. They're up on YouTube. You can get some popcorn and sit there and watch and enjoy.
So I
It's
wish
free entertainment.
There was a major disconnect in
That's
that.
definitely a stretch.
So I wish Mary was on, because I actually had to go in front of the zoning board, the May 15th hearing. And I live in a very swampy area. I wouldn't say swampy, but I have a very high water table. And it was recommended by the engineer I had to put in a dry well. But with my guidance from Mary, I have proposed a large 200-foot rain garden in my backyard to direct all my roof leaders to. And that satisfied the engineers and the planners. So because of Mary, I was scratching my head. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I physically can't put in a dry well. It will not, if the conditions aren't there for it.
It'll be wet well.
So, yeah, and they're expensive and you have to maintain them. And so I'm looking forward to, with her help, building a rain garden on my property.
Be a nice success story when it's finished.
Yes, definitely. And I will bring the garden club through. They do house tours in the summer to show everyone's gardens. So I will be adding my house to their list.
Nice.
Yes. So I just had to say that because you were going to go on Norm and you were going to see me on there and be like, why didn't she say anything? So. Well, I mean, if you went home and watched it on the YouTube thing, you'd see me. Green Team Report, Sustainable Jersey Update. Jack, anything?
So, since the last time we met, I think we've been kind of grasping at all these different pieces of environmental things that we want to see done in town, and I think Ed hit on this more when we were talking about affordable housing just now. I think maybe we should start thinking about a more holistic approach, trying to tie in all these things together. And that ties into Sustainable Jersey, obviously, because a lot of these are actions that we can take.
Is there like a roadmap, I guess for the certification, things that we need to accomplish, or?
Oh yeah, so we're required to do a certain amount of actions and get points to recertify. But I'm talking about a little bit beyond that. I'm kind of looking at the forest instead of the trees. And community energy plan could tie into affordable housing, could tie into public transportation and all these different things. There's housing and all that stuff. So I think maybe have some more involvement and a larger group of people to come together and kind of figure out if we can, even if we could put something together.
Great. For what certificate? Are we aiming for just to keep our certificate going?
Well, that plus I was trying to get up to silver,
Okay.
but we need to do a lot of work.
And you're in the loop with our CMFP that we're in the process. We just submitted to the DEP for a grant. The Community
Forest
Management Plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would help as well, right?
Yeah, that gets us a certain number of points.
Awesome. Cool. Anyone on anything?
Jack, when you mentioned the Green Fest had been canceled, I realized afterwards there was a lot going on in Monmouth County that weekend. I don't. You probably didn't realize it when you scheduled it, but there was all the museums were open.
Oh, was
all that. Yeah, so that could have contributed just the busy weekend to the.
I think that probably was part of it. I know I heard back from one of the vendors, and they said that because of the economic climate and all the uncertainty happening, they really didn't want to put up the expense of paying people to come out, whatever. But that was.
Yeah, so I spoke to
Jen.
I spoke to Jen,
Okay.
and she offered to have our Green Fest in the fall to be part of Fall Fest, and she volunteered to have a little section that we could set up. One of the challenges with our Green Fest in general is doing it in Palaya Park. We didn't really have we're not going to have a huge thing there, right? So to kind of, right now, I think if, and Jack and I texted each other, I think if we can, she's willing to kind of help us out with that, and we could just get a few vendors and people like that to be part of it. They can decide to section it off, or we could just kind of be, in our own area without it being sectioned off. And, that, I don't think it really matters much. But I was texting with Jack that I really don't want us to go and forfeit the whole year and not have it, right?
Yeah.
What I'd rather do is I'd rather have it this fall, and I'd rather re-look at what happened this spring and do it in the spring again. So have it be part of the fall and have it be part of the spring, and really understand how, as a group, we can get the crowd out to be part of this. Because I think it was more that we didn't have it because vendors didn't participate, right? Because I ran in the race that morning.
Yeah.
And we all were there thinking we were going to go to the Green Fest afterwards. And that's why I ran so fast. Get you win. I came in 18th.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, out of what?
160. 160.
Norm, you're funny.
Yeah, but I know you're trying to get me. It's okay. But so I think. So do you want to pick up the ball and talk to Jen, or? And
Do we know that date off the top of our heads at the moment?
they have a date for Green Fest. They have a date for Fall Fest.
Yeah.
We can start that process now, and she can help get it going, and maybe we can get some.
We
all
could
of us
get
to
it
get,
in your flyer, in your
I'll walk over to
quarterly.
recreation with some donuts.
yeah, I think it's also about us. Yeah, I guess.
And I won't forget about you either.
I don't eat donuts, but thank you.
I think it's probably you really kind of mobilizing people to get the group, to get people to come and.
Ed, are you searching for the
and
date?
get it,
Is it
right?
October?
I think it's like October 10th or something like that. or-
8th?
And with the bigger crowds, it might be easier to get the sponsors and the.
Yeah,
vendors
because
to show
it'll
up.
be worth their while.
Yeah, and I think we can start doing it now, and the world's a little bit more stable, so.
Fall Fest is October 4th, sorry.
Oh.
So.
I was gonna
And
say,
so Jack, would
I'm
that
gonna be
qualify?
away, but that's okay, I can still help.
Or if we partnered with Fall Fest, would that still qualify for us saying we had a Green Fest?
I think so.
They're gonna say Green Fest on the advertisement. It's just not gonna be Fall Fest. They're gonna say, well, they're gonna say
We had
Fall
a
Fest
conversation
and
about a
Green Fest.
native plant sale, and in October is like the end of the season, Nancy, so
Yeah.
maybe that would be perfect to have someone there with
Is it
selling
like a
native
farmer's
plants.
market almost?
Yeah. People with cider, oh my goodness.
A green experience.
Mhm.
So you'll pick it up and talk
Love
to Jen?
Yeah.
Okay.
October 4th, everyone. That sounded aggressive.
What happens on October 4th if you're not there?
I know, right? And I'll be in Florida. I'm bummed, but we'll see.
Well, you don't have to change our plans.
True. Alrighty. Lollipop
not
Pond
them,
Committee
it's
report, or are we not done on this? Anyone want to add anything to Green Team report? Andy, you're on the Green Team?
I guess technically.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think that all sounds like a great idea, so, I talked to Jen a couple weeks ago too about just, some ideas and stuff, so I'd be happy to help.
Good. Yeah, if there's anything I could do, let me know.
Yom Kippur is
Amazing.
October 2nd.
Lollipop
There's a couple.
Pond Committee
There's nothing.
report.
Next week after that.
Nothing. There hopefully will be eventually, but not right now.
Okay. Chairwoman's report.
But you,
That's me. Trying to think, we really hit everything. I was going to actually read the letter from the Wayside School, Miss Cole,
It'll
for
go in
that, but it
section.
came up on, I said it's
It'll
during our
go in that
recycling
section,
content.
don't worry about it.
Any member remarks? I know, Nancy, you have a few things you want to bring up, like the wood duck.
Sure, yeah, just to let everyone know, so I also help with Deal Lake Watershed Alliance, and some of you might have been here a few months ago. There was a father and his son came in to talk about the electronic recycling. He did a little presentation. So I forget if it's him or his brother. He's going to, for his Eagle Scout project, he's going to build wood duck boxes to put up around the lake, around Deal Lake, to encourage the wood ducks, who are kind of rare, to nest and be here at the lake. They're already here, but it's always good to encourage them. So that was one thing. And so we're hoping it can kind of be a partnership between like Deal Lake Commission, Deal Lake Watershed Alliance, maybe us, and just to help him with his project. So basically, he just does it. And then he's getting input from a lot of people. He's already tied in with the town manager and Don Brockle and, you know, a whole bunch of people who are kind of guiding him and helping him. So, yeah, so kind of related to us, but, you know, not exactly. And then, what was the other thing? Was there something you had in mind that I mentioned? Or, because, you know, I've got like 10 things on the list. I don't want to talk about like too many things. I did have one other thing that I thought was interesting. I noticed Long Branch, they started doing refillable water bottle stations on the boardwalk. And I would love to see something like that, like at Chopolaya Park, where even if we just have one out there, just encouraging people to stop using plastic. And, you know, bring their reusable.
That was here when I got there.
And, yeah, so I thought that was just a great environmental commission type of a project to look into. I have no idea how expensive it is or what, or you need to tie in water somehow. But I thought, you know, Long Branch is doing it, maybe we can look into it.
Yeah, let's talk about how at all the council meetings, you guys have a basket of water bottles on the center of the table.
Yeah, yeah, I remember seeing that. And, you know, one thing we could do is, I know it'll be more expensive, but box water.
No, I say it to them whenever we're there.
You ever see the cardboard? They look like little milk cartons. You could substitute it and cut down on
I'm going to tell you this, the next time you tune in, I will have my own water bottle.
I'm so proud of
It might be a
you.
water tower, but it will be huge.
That is a good idea about the reusable, refillable.
Interesting enough, in Europe at this point, the lids on all the water bottles are tethered.
Yeah.
You cannot separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the places I was at, they physically said if we don't return the lids for whatever reason, we get fined or penalized.
Yeah, I just got back from a trip and like no plastic anywhere, no plastic utensils. If you want something for to go, it's wood. It's like little tiny flat wooden forks. You go in to sit outside somewhere, you're not getting like a plastic or a throwaway or paper cup.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is their, you know, their glasses and their mugs. And, you know, when people are done drinking, they just go back in and bring it back in. It was just amazing to see.
If you go to a store and if you want a bag, they charge you for the bag.
Yeah, and nobody questions it. It's just the way it is.
Nancy, I had a question about, speaking of disposable plastics, have you had any feedback from the business owners? Are they interested in?
So I've talked to quite a few, so an ordinance that Ed and I talked about sort of got shot down pretty quickly. So I've been a little frustrated with trying to pursue that any further. So
By our town council or by just the?
Yeah.
Okay.
The businesses could do it voluntarily.
yeah.
Yeah, the marketing, yeah.
Yeah, it's something I want to revisit and talk more about. Julie and I talked a little bit about it before. Yeah, definitely not a dead issue, but.
Sure, it's not a priority at this
Well,
moment.
But if we propose an ordinance that all utensils should be wooden utensils. I mean, I buy wooden utensils when I'm having barbecues. It's not more expensive.
Or compostable.
What is
Well,
the
compostable.
ordinance for establishments to only provide?
Skip the stuff.
Not even, just to make it optional. So most restaurants, they don't automatically put plastic
Oh, I remember
and
this, yes.
napkins in, but some of them do. They just automatically put it right in. So the Skip the Stuff program that they're trying to make a state law is to just say, just make it optional. If you want it, we'll give it to you, but we're not going to automatically put it in the bag. So at every takeout section in a restaurant, we'll put up a sign and it'll just say, it's optional if you need it, just ask.
Refresh my memory, when was this brought up? To the
A couple of months ago,
Couple months ago, it might have been
Yeah.
pre-Nick.
probably pre-you. Yeah.
It was maybe this time last year.
Yeah, it might have been
It
last
was a
year.
while ago.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it because somebody was asking me about it. Because when I was on the board of ed, they were asking me about it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, because I'm sure the schools are all plastic.
Yes.
well, I think it kind of got
I mean,
brought up a little bit.
Again,
I don't
we have
remember
to
having-
start, in town. before we tell other
Do you
people.
have, do you have any examples of any other towns?
Yeah, sure.
Plastics,
Yeah, lots of them around here are participating already. They have ordinances. So we have a sample ordinance, basically just need to say,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Does the ordinance have penalties if you don't, and things like that? Or do you think you can grant me a couple?
I don't think so, but, it's really encouraging. It's encouraging people to reduce. And,
I'll bring it up again if everybody lets me drink this water.
Take a sip.
So here's a question though, how did the businesses, were they interested?
Yeah.
Because it saves them money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much everyone I've talked to so far was like, oh yeah, this is what we do already. And Donna, I talked to about it. You were telling me that you talked to a few or you noticed a few.
Yes.
I think Julia, you were saying it too. You're taking notice of like who's doing what.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, it was pretty much like, yeah, that's fine. And just give us a sign we can put up there and so at least people know. But yeah, everybody pretty much. I talked to maybe about 15 places. So I really wanted to go to like every restaurant that we have, and especially like the real takeout, like Chinese food, pizza, and make sure I get all those and see if they would be okay with it.
The couple of Chinese restaurants that we've used over has reduced considerably.
Yeah.
Jeff, I have a question because you would know this because of the Board of Ed. When you guys sign contracts with your vendors, is like utensils and stuff in the cafeterias like a contract you sign, or does just the administrator of that school say, oh, we're low on spoons, we're going to order spoons?
Yeah, I don't remember how that.
Do you want to go to a Board of Ed meeting with me and we could propose that to them, that they stop buying plastic, forks, knives, and
I probably would suggest that you talk to the business manager and ask him how it happens now.
Who's the business?
Jeff Hastings.
Okay.
I probably would send him something and just say, hey, trying to figure out how to get more, get a little bit more environmentally friendly.
Just get it in front of the kids,
Yeah.
So the kids are the ones, kids are how we get things done.
Sedesco, is that who we use?
Sedesco.
I think Sedesco supplies
Yeah.
those utensils.
And I think-
Like it's like we rent the space to them and then it's up to them to turn a profit by selling lunches and whatever they provide to have the kids be able to eat their
But we're always negotiating little things. We negotiated when I was there, we negotiated a new menu so it was more nutritious. We were trying to take red dye 2 out of the thing, take dyes out of it.
And when do you do that? Once a year?
You probably do it once a year, yeah.
Any idea? Did we just miss it because the budget was probably?
No, I think if you were talking to them now, first of all, you can never start the process too early.
I would want to get in front with like an audience versus just sending an email silently. I'll follow up with email after.
I meant more to talk to him, ask him, tell me,
Like the
what
process.
happens, and if you wanted to bring this up, what would be the best way to bring it up?
Yeah.
And if you want, I could talk to, I could give a heads up to some of the board members that I know and kind of just talk to them a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Give them a little heads up.
I'm just saying, I just don't think it's the town that is responsible for the
Well, the Board of
plastic
Ed.
utensils, right? I don't think it's them, I think it's
probably
the food service company.
Yeah.
But it could certainly be addressed through negotiation.
But the
Yeah.
contract always has provisions.
Right, we'll give you but you gotta do this.
So one of
Yeah, so that's good. So update your contract with whoever rents the cafeteria that no plastics allowed.
So I think Ms. Edson might be running a project in the middle school. I think that they're trying or have done something in the middle school. I don't know, but I can talk to her about, I don't know whether it's like reduction of trays or like because I think they have disposable trays. I don't even think
That was the last I knew, they were styrofoam.
Yeah,
And
styrofoam trays versus like I was in
I
the
remember
Green Fest
when
and the
we were
Green
in
Fest
school.
was
Oh yeah, the
paper.
compost.
It was like
Oh,
compostable,
nice.
but yeah, back in the day, it was like these like hard plastics.
We
that,
slid down the slides on
Yeah,
the stairs.
They were really good.
Right, there's probably a
That's probably
liability.
why they got rid of
Right,
that.
it's probably a liability issue,
Hard
but
plastic was better than styrofoam.
it's probably a sanitation issue and.
Yeah, I imagine they
Yeah, we're
wash
just
cement with
dishwashing.
water or whatever, yeah.
Could you see it like, well, I know Wegmans does it, and I've seen it in a few other places, you have a dispenser, you push the button, and you get 1 fork, you push the
Yeah.
button, you
Yeah.
get 1.
I believe that's what they have, like you just.
Oh, the
kids go up
school?
and just
Yeah.
Take one
I'll
and
have
next
to
one.
tour and
is
see,
ready.
because I really outdated myself there. All right, any remarks?
Well, I have one, unrelated to anything. Most people assume things that comes out of my house, probably hot air, okay? But it turns out my wife paints, and the show at the Ocean Township Library, she's the main artist.
Oh,
Nice that.
love
If you're
that.
interested, you know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she, except for one really bad decision she made a long time ago.
What was that?
If you can't figure it out, you don't know.
And Norm's on top.
I just want you to say it.
I'm not that stupid.
Any public remarks? Anyone out there? Do I have a motion to close this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Wait, who moved?
I did.
Ed, oh, Bridget.
I'm just
Ed,
voting aye.
Jack. And then do we all have to say aye? No, right?
Aye.
Aye. Great meeting, guys. Thank you.